L'apicoltura è un'attività tradizionale che
Beekeeping is a traditional activity that accompanies man since the dawn of time. It can be assimilated a bit to agriculture, a bit to zootechnics, because it obviously takes care of insects, bees. From the collection of honey in the honeycomb to the present day with the rational beekeeping, not much has changed in the activity of beekeeping. Certainly, there has been an increase in its awareness of the important contribution it offers to all, but especially to nature, in maintaining cultivated biodiversity and more generally natural biodiversity. We are in Capestrano, and in particular in Santa Pelagia, which is a particularly important place because during the year, thanks to the mild climate, there is an alternation of many blooms. We are in an area with almond trees, sainfoin, and ailanthus. I want to tell you the first story of a beekeeper who has his beehives here to make an excellent connection of unifloral honey of these particular essences. I've lived here for quite some time. Here we are in the national park. This place is ideal for beekeeping, and there is always flowering from February until August. The temperature is very good, even in winter, because this is a region where it is very hot. It rains at night, and it is sunny during the day. For the bees, this is ideal for the production of pollen, honey, royal jelly. There is a lot of plant biodiversity. At the beginning of February, the almonds start to bloom, and this allows the family to strengthen beautifully to start the season. The bee's home is the hive, where the queen bee lives with her workers. The bees do different functions inside. The amount of bees in a normal hive varies from 10 to 20,000. This is at the beginning of the season, when the family starts to form, and we will get 15 to 70 or 80,000 bees inside a hive, depending on the quantity and the queen, how she laid her eggs. Everything is carried over to the queen. The more the queen lays eggs, the stronger family we will have. We're going to be decanting a hive that has become too tight for the family. It's a swarm that I had collected, I think, 15 days ago. And this is a rather delicate operation because we have to go and see the queen, if she's inside, if she has already hatched. And from there, we'll take her to a new hive. I've been doing this job for more than 20 years, and I'm passionate about it because I spend every Saturday and Sunday in contact with nature and with my wife. For us, it's fun. I have 250 hives, and we spend plenty of time with bees. Then, of course, we have to guess what the weather will be like. I do this very often. I move the bees according to the flowering. I follow the flowering. This nomadism is like transhumance of the sheep. 20 years ago, I didn't know anything about the bees. Now I'm passionate about them. I always try to learn as much as I can and safeguard the life of these bees. I have introduced the bees to several young people who have become passionate about it, and now they will become beekeepers themselves. The life of the bees is important. The more the bees live, the more we will live, because the bees allow the pollination of everything we eat. We work for humanity. The passion of the bees is about this. When the bees become extinct, it will be all over for human beings as well. In the green woods of Valle Castellana in the province of Teramo, our story about traditional beekeeping techniques continues. In these places, the chestnut links its life to the life of the bees. Yes, even a majestic and century-old tree like the chestnut cannot survive without the presence and the activity of these tiny insects. I was born in Rocca Santa Maria, here in the Monti della Laga. I took up this job from my old grandparents. We have been producing honey and collecting it for over 100 years. Slowly it has become a job because I've come to have up to 450 beehives that are scattered everywhere here in the mountain and in the plains. We harvest chestnut honey, which is a very popular honey. It has a slightly bitter aftertaste, but it goes well with cheeses or in the kitchen in general. It is an ancient honey, a bit strong, but it's good. Our beehives are located in the plain. Some are on the mountain, many. Several are stable, permanent. They stay here winter and summer. They are more comfortable. The others, unfortunately, have to be moved during the winter to the plain and then back to the mountain to the chestnut groves. It's a difficult job. They have to move the bees at night. They are brought to the right place by hand. In recent years, harvests has been good or not so good. It depends on the years, but this depends mainly on the climate. Let's say that the chestnut tree is stable and manages to bloom. It starts in June when it is already warm. Other types of trees might miss flowering because of the cold weather. In the mountains, there are fewer harvests, but they give more satisfaction. Unfortunately, every day we have to do a tour of the hives, checking to see if they are in good shape, so to speak, if they are producing, if it is necessary to add new bees, or maybe the ants attack the beehives in the mountains. So you have to put ashes on the ground. There is a very long procedure. It takes quite a lot of hours. It takes 1 hour by car to get there. Then you have to reach the beehives, go from hive to hive, remove the combs, check what kind of honey. It's quite a lot of work. When I get to the apiaries, especially in these mountains where I live in close contact with nature, everything takes me back in time, the times of my grandfather, my father, who used to work exactly as I'm doing today, with plenty of sacrifices, because in the past we did not have the beehives, we had nailed boards, and from there they obtained honey. So this is something that brings me back in time. When I come to these mountains, it's just entertaining. It's not work, it's entertainment, even if I had to work twice as hard. But this brings me back to when I was a child, and I rediscover the ancient smells and tastes. In the future, I will keep doing this as long as I can. This is the removal of the honey. We are in the workshop and we start the process. We remove the combs one by one. We remove the operculum, that is the sheet of wax that the bees put on top of the honey once it's dry. We have to break all this layer of wax so that the honey can come out. It is removed with a knife or with a fork. We removed it on both sides because the honeycomb has a first and a second side, and the bees put the honey on both sides. Once everything has been cleaned, we use the centrifuge when we centrifuge the honey. Once this has been done, the honey is filtered into a bucket. We fill the jars, we do tasting, and then we have the ripeners. After 15 days, honey is packed and then put into production. After so much effort, this is the most beautiful moment, when the honey comes out of the centrifuge, dripping. It's a satisfaction. You forget all the effort, and this gives you the strength to continue, thanks to the passion. This is the most beautiful moment, seeing this honey that looks like gold dripping. Beekeeping is perhaps among the agricultural activities that is most linked to nature, to natural cycles, to the changing of the seasons. The activity of the bees with their flight in constant search for nectar and pollen allows the pollination of the vast majority of the species that we now use as food. It's an essential activity, that of the bees, that makes life on Earth still possible. Protected natural areas such as the Gran Sasso and Monti della Laga National Park are a melting pot of ideas, an open-air workshop. Here, virtuous good practices are still alive, and they represent an essential resource to face the challenges of the 21st century.